Welcome to Prepper Nation. I'm John. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for subscribing, hitting thumbs up, hitting thumbs down, sharing it out, blah, 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 blah. Whatever your typical YouTubers are supposed to say. I never got good at it, never quite figured that out. Thank you very much for being here nonetheless. So yesterday we had a live stream. It was an epic live stream. If you were there to see it, or if you checked it out after the fact, thank you very much. But I got a couple of comments on the live stream yesterday, during the live. Hey, why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about bugging out? Why are we not talking about Texas? And I get it. I get it. It's a very popular subject. But here's the deal. I wanted to explain, because we're going to talk about Texas this morning, but I wanted to explain why I waited a day or so. This is something that I normally do. So typically what'll happen when a big event, just hits mainstream media and everybody's finding out about it all of a sudden, you always have certain communities that 5 minutes later hit record and they're talking about it. You know what I'm saying? There are plenty of people talking about Texas yesterday. This is not one of those communities. All right, just shooting straight up with you. Number one, my social life and my life outside of YouTube, I ain't got time to pull the phone out every time something happens on the news and hit record. I just don't. And second, I want to, when I start talking about something, I want to know a few details. I don't just want to see, a mainstream media title or hit piece link and say, oh my God, the sky's falling. You got 3 days. So this morning, again, we're going to talk about Texas and we're going to talk about the truth about Texas. It's going to be unpopular with some people, but it is what it is. I want to explain what is going on in Texas, first and foremost, because there was some confusion yesterday, back and forth, people that were talking about it in multiple communities, including Prepper Nation. So, Governor Greg Abbott in Texas has tried to push back against the invasion. He's dubbed it legally and technically an invasion of his state at this point in time. And so he's been dedicating resources. Now, some of this is flying people out of state to other cities, bussing them out, trying to shore up what little barrier they have. And this is not popular with Joe Biden, with liberals, obviously. And so they took Greg Abbott to court with this. The latest deal is he's putting up fencing. He's putting up a lot of razor wire because it's cheap and because it's effective. It's easy to deploy. It's really hard to get rid of. People are trying to get through it. They're getting stuck in this stuff, and they're basically stuck there until his border patrol can stop and arrest them, detain them, and all of this stuff. So it is starting to work, which is why Joe Biden, I think, in his administration, wanted to take it to the court system. So it went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled 5-4 in favor, and that's really tricky, in favor of the Joe Biden administration. So again, immediately people were, as soon as they heard the Supreme Court ruling, they were clicking record. They were like, oh my God, civil war is here. No, slow it down. Pump the brakes a little bit, okay? Because here's the truth. The Supreme Court ruled that the federal government can take the razor wire down, that they have jurisdiction to go in and remove the razor wire. That's it. It was like, 2 lines, 2 sentences in their decision. And they offered no opinion whatsoever with this decision. And honestly, this is very odd for the Supreme Court. Usually they give, a decision. Several judges will chime in and say, I went this way because legally, blah, blah, blah. This feels like a fence riding decision by the Supreme Court, because they're saying, with this decision, what they're saying essentially is Texas is not breaking the law. No part of the decision that was handed down from the Supreme Court said Texas is doing anything wrong. They simply said, yeah, federal authorities can come in and they can remove the razor wire. And there's good reason for this, not to get sidetracked, but Eric Adams has been complaining, mayor of New York City, because they have over 100,000 immigrants and it's destroying the city. And Ted Cruz put it really well yesterday during a speech. He said he agrees with Eric Adams, Mayor Eric Adams. And he said, now imagine what millions of these illegals are doing to the border states. This is why action is being taken. So, legally, Texas is not breaking the law because, as Greg Abbott has pointed out, and several other governors now, we don't just have one commander in chief here in the United States of America. Joe Biden, sadly, is the commander in chief in D.C., but every state has its own commander in chief. And Greg Abbott is simply saying, from the legal standpoint, I have an obligation if DC is not doing its job to take care of the people of Texas, to make sure that they are safe. And some people have pointed out to me, and I brought this up over on Backwoods and Hutch's stream yesterday. It's an election year for Greg Abbott. People have said, he's just doing what people want him to do because it's an election year. Well, good. That's what we want from politicians, for them to be doing what, their constituents want. But I digress. The point is, Texas is not legally breaking the law, and the federal government is not technically breaking the law. I don't know how to put this. Texas got this decision. They looked at it, kind of as a loss, I guess, at first. And then they started throwing up more razor wire because they figured out, okay, we can have this stuff up in 10 minutes, and it takes a long time to take down, so the National Guard is there, and they're just throwing this stuff out as fast as they can get it. And they're doing it at a pace and at a rate where feds can never keep up. Even if we were to deploy every Fed we had to the border in Texas, they simply cannot keep up with the pace this stuff is being thrown up. And again, neither one is being illegal at this point. Trump, very important here, Trump, JFK Jr., and 25 other states have openly supported Texas now. These 25 states are either sending money, they're sending National Guardsmen and women, or they're sending supplies, razor wire and stuff like this, other supplies, to help support Texas. And I think this is why everybody is defaulting automatically to, oh my God, this is civil war. You better prepare for it, blah, blah, blah. So they're saying that the national divorce is coming soon. In the coming weeks, we have 30 days tops. You get what I'm saying, but I don't believe so. And I know that's going to be an unpopular statement on my part this morning, but just give me a chance to explain, okay? Because both sides here are technically right. And that's what the Supreme Court was saying. This is like a parent coming in when two kids are getting ready to fist fight. And the parent just comes in and says, okay, little Timmy, you're a good boy. Little Sally, you're a good girl. Y'all just get along. And then the parent leaves. They haven't really de-escalated anything. But again, legally speaking, neither side is wrong. I think the federal government knows what is coming, meaning the national divorce. I think many of the states, including Texas, know what is coming. I think they know what needs to be done. But I think everybody, it's like a room filled with people that know they know this has to happen. But nobody is willing to step across that line and get things started, because if you're going to go down that road, you're going to have to become illegal. And I think right now, Texas is proud. They should be. But I think Abbott is proud for kind of holding the line and saying enough's enough. This is ridiculous. I think this is why other states are supporting him, okay? Everything seems to hinge on November. This is my opinion. Everything seems to be hinging on the election in November. And yes, folks, I do believe we're going to have some sort of an election in November. I know, again, that's going to be unpopular. Some people don't think we'll make it till November. Some people don't think there will be an election. I think if you look at the history of the United States and all of the events that have happened, I don't think they're postponing the election. You know, how fair will it be? I don't know. How much can we trust the results? Again, don't know. Who will the candidates be? Will Trump be allowed to run? Will Biden, still be the guy on the left? Don't know. But there's going to be some sort of an election, and everything hinges on that election. As it stands, if Trump wins the election in November, and this was brought up by Backwoods yesterday over on his stream, and great statement. Trump has basically said the moment he is done swearing in with his hand on the Bible, he's going to move that hand over and start signing executive orders. He's going to close the border, and he wants mass deportation. Does he have the manpower to do this? I don't know. The way it stands, probably not. Now, maybe if he brought most of our military folks home and focused on the border, maybe at that point in time. But it's going to take a lot of doing. I mean, it's going to take a lot of manpower. It would take a lot of money. And you have to understand, even if he's in the White House, which I hope that he is eventually, the left is going to fight him tooth and nail on every single thing. The rhinos, they're going to fight, and the never Trumpers, they're going to fight him tooth and nail on every single thing, no matter how good it is for the country, okay? So there will be a lot of pushback. If he's able to get enough people to begin mass deportations, I think this is going to trigger a lot of the bad groups that we have living inside the United States of America. These groups that hate our way of life, that hate our country in general. You don't know why they're here. You hate the United States of America. Why did you move here? I will never understand that. But there are a lot of groups that are just like, we hate capitalism, overthrow everything. They don't need much of a reason. And so Trump deporting people through mainstream media, that's going to be spun as tyranny. And these groups will be out and about, and they're going to do what they usually do. Not all flip flops are bad, by the way. I mentioned that yesterday, but the combat ready flip flops, y'all know what I'm saying? They'll be back out on the streets. So that's if Trump wins. There'll be a lot of pushback. If Trump loses, states that are with Texas right now, your conservative states, they're going to realize it's over at the federal level. 4 more years of Biden, or 4 years of Kamala Harris, 4 years of Gavin Newsom, 4 years, God forbid, Michelle Obama, it's over. Any sort of idea of having borders, having national security, that's over. And I think states will realize this, and I think states will begin to come together and say, we need to leave. We need to form something else, and we need to get out of here while we still have something left to salvage. I think at that point, following the election, if the left should win the election, again, God forbid, I think states will begin to openly say, we're out of here. We're signing this, we're out. And I think Texas will be the first one to do it. I really do. So getting down to the idea real quick of a national divorce, which is not going to be peaceful. Let me just say that. I do think we're headed there. All right. I'm not disagreeing with people that are throwing up videos and saying, oh my God, it's here. The end is here. Things are about to go loco. I do agree that we're headed there. And having said that, I just don't agree that it's happening this week. It's not happening this week. Probably not going to happen this month. In my estimation, it's not going to happen until at least after the November election. But we will see. And I pray it doesn't happen at all, but I believe it needs to at this point. There's no other way to salvage things. You're not going to be able to do it through the court system. I don't trust the court system anymore. You're not going to be able to do it apparently in D.C. The swamp is too deep. It needs to happen, because even if we were to get Trump in there, and he does exactly what he says he's going to do, and he builds a border and he deports and he signs a bunch of legislation, via executive order. What's going to happen when he leaves? All of those executive orders are just going to be signed out of law. The border's going to be taken down, and we're going to be right back where we are now. It's a Band-Aid at best. So I think this thing needs to happen. And again, I don't think it's going to be peaceful, but I think it's a good thing that it's not happening in 3 days or a week or a month, because folks, if it is going to happen, we need as much time as possible as preppers to get ready for this thing. Think about when the grid goes down. How long does it take for the general population to panic? When the lights go out, 2 days, maybe. People are beside themselves. They don't know what they're going to do. EBT system goes down for a couple of days. Are you kidding me? We getting into the set of The Walking Dead after a couple of days. Government checks coming out for various reasons. Maybe there's a long holiday and they're 2 or 3 days late. People start to lose their minds a little bit because they don't know what they're going to do. So take that population and insert it into a non-peaceful national divorce, and tell me what that country looks like down in the comments below if you don't mind. It's not going to be pretty. That's what we need to prepare for, folks. So there is hope. There's time to prepare, but I do think we're headed there. But y'all let me know what you think. Take care. God bless.